Well, my vision as CEO of MTL is that MTL should really be the premier telecom company in this country. I'm aware there is competition, people are coming in and maybe we may have a new license in the industry, but I think MTL has made a huge investment in this business and we really have the best capacity in the country to ride the competition, but also to make sure that it remains a premier institution. Malawians should really get the best of services in the telecom industry, both locally and internationally, because of what MTL has already in place.
Okay. This, I think, should be your first time to have a feel of the private sector. What challenges, if any, do you anticipate to encounter in working in the private sector, having spent most of your time in local and international public service?
Yes, as you are rightly putting it, I've basically been in the public service for most of my life. But I suppose that's what makes it exciting to come to this company. This is something I'll be handling for the first time. I've never been, of course, in the private sector before directly, although I have my work does deal with the private sector in many ways. Even when I was in the Reserve Bank, I was dealing with the private sector in many, many ways. So I do have a good understanding of how the private sector is working, the difficulties that they face every day, and the kind of problems that they have to deal with at macro level, at national level, but also as they work day to day to make their ends meet. I have a very clear idea of what companies go through in the world. But in terms of working directly with a private company, yes, this is my first time. And to me, that's the exciting challenge about it. I think that I have sufficient background to enable me to maneuver in this new field.
The penetration of telecommunication in Malawi is still very low, and most Malawians still don't have access to telecommunication services, particularly of MTL. What will the company under your leadership do to consolidate the gains the company has made over the past years and make sure that consumers enjoy the quality and reliable telecommunication services in Malawi?
Yeah, generally, we can say that the penetration in Malawi is low, but that has to do with many, many factors. One is, of course, that the majority of the people income levels are not to a level where they can really spend too much money on telecoms. So the cost of telecommunications in this country is an issue for many people. So we are still, a lot of prices in the market are still pretty expensive. But still, as you know, MTL still provides, I think, the most competitive prices in the market as of now. I suppose, as we go along, as the country develops, as it has done in the last 5 years, Malawians will become more and more able to really choose how they spend their money and maybe use more of what is available in the market in terms of telecommunications. But frankly, the best thing we can do is really, we still have an objective as MTL to make sure that Malawians have access to telecoms. So we are looking at the various options. It's not just mobile phones. We know some people don't have mobile phones, and some can't even afford to use that effectively. You just use it for flashing. So we still believe there is a role for the fixed line. The question we are focusing on is how we provide fixed lines to the general public at large, ensuring security of our equipment, at the same time offering them a system easy to use at an affordable price, so that with access to many, many Malawians in the country. That's one thing we'll be looking at. There are various ways of doing it, but we'll be looking at various options, how best to provide that service. Because the mobile is not necessarily always the instrument, first choice of instrument, because of many issues. As I said, battery will are running out, you are stuck on the road, you can't access, help. For some reasons, there's no network there. So the mobile is good, but it still has limitations. But we think the landline still has a big role to play in this country. And we will be exploring ways of making sure that our fixed line is still reaching out to many Malawians.
Okay. And MTL is one of the two fixed telephone line operators in Malawi. The other one is Access Communications Limited. How are you bracing up for the competition and ensure that MTL does not slacken and remain the market leader, as it were?
Well, in terms of the two telephone operators, I think let's put it this way first of all. It's good that there are two of us, because the needs out there for the public to access telephones is huge. And as you said at the beginning, even despite us being there for many years, penetration is still very low. So I think being two on the market is not a bad idea as such. The competition, I think the competition is good for the industry in that we will have to see how best we can compete with ACL. And ACL is providing, service in the market, and we are providing service in the market. But I think, as I was saying at the beginning, I think MTL will remain a premier institution. I think we'll try to see how we cooperate with ACL in many areas, in fact. Because we can't be everywhere sometimes. We'll look at what they are doing, and we'll look at competition is always not killing the other. It's about how you work together to provide service to the general public at the same time. Well, you have a win-win situation for your companies. So we'll be working together and see how best we can go forward.
Okay. Over the past year or so, MTL has been installing optic fiber cables to connect Malawi to the rest of the world. Why do you think it is important for the country to be connected to the rest of the world?
Well, Malawi is now in the international community. Malawi is becoming Malawians all over the world. Malawi has to communicate with the rest of the world, and in these days of in these days where the internet is everything, connecting to the rest of the world is really, there's no choice about it. That Malawi has to connect to the rest of the world via the internet. And our fiber optic provides really the best way of getting Malawi out there. The broadband service that we provide is the best that we can have. We can show you how our fiber optic line is developed. Actually, it's around the whole country. We are still finishing up the Mzuzu Karonga or Mzuzu Songwe line, because there we're using microwave, but we'll soon cover it up with whole fiber optic. Connected through Tanzania, connected through Mozambique, and we are exploring connecting ourselves through Zambia, I think. But already what we have is insufficient to allow Malawi to access broadband services to international to the world at the best possible, with the best possible capacity in the field. So we are pretty geared for that, and we hope that Malawians can take advantage of what we have invested in this system. So we are pretty upbeat about it. That's fiber optic. It resolves a lot of issues. Will allow many IP service providers in the country to really hook onto our system. Make sure broadband services are available to many Malawians. We may not be the only ones doing that, but the rest of the industry will hope they can, get onto our system and use it to be sure that access to internet is the best that can be in the country. They don't have to duplicate what we have already invested. It's a matter of cooperating, as I said before, because we already have the investment. Others just have to come and see how best they can work with us, win-win situation. But the objective being to reach out to all Malawians with broadband internet services.
Okay. There have been complaints from the general public and recently from MACRA on the lack of efficiency and quality service of the telecommunications service providers in Malawi. How do you think you're going to improve the situation?